I'm just trying to be respectful of everybody's time. We went late. All right, let's call the meeting to order. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, any people wishing to address the board? Thanks, Vicki. All right, can I get an approval of the minutes of the September 6th meeting, please?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, an approval of the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, I did not see any conflicts of interest, so I think we're good there. And can I get an approval of the consent agenda, please?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, reports of the president.
Todd, are you in timeout down there?
I am.
It's like, I feel like I have this out of space because Dr. Meyer's not.
I should have showered.
President Parker, members of the board, Jim Jacobson, Vice President of Academics. It's my pleasure to be here this afternoon to introduce more of our faculty, to highlight three of our health programs across campus. We have with us two faculty members today. We have Janet Bortnam and Pam Boyd. And Kathy Miller was going to join us, and she went home ill today. And Joellen DeShaw is in open lab with students. So I will turn it over to our faculty.
Thank you, President Parker, for inviting us today, and school board members. My name is Pam Boyd, and this is Janet. And we're going to talk to you today about our medical ultrasound programs at Southeast Tech. Ultrasound jobs are in high demand. We have a good employment rate, and Bureau of Labor statistics said that the growth will be around 24% between 2014 and 2024, and we can attest to that. We get phone calls all the time asking about our graduates and if they have jobs yet or not. So what is a medical sonographer? Well, we try to teach our students to become highly skilled in optimizing images, getting the best images they can out of from their equipment, positioning patients. We also school them in recognizing pathology, no matter how minor or how major, recognizing that pathology and knowing what measurements to take out of their tool chest and quantify that disease. Is it mild, moderate, or severe? They really are the eyes and the ears for the physician that interprets the study. A lot of times the physician doesn't even see the patient, so a lot of responsibility on the shoulders of that sonographer to get the best images. We have three programs at Southeast Tech. Vascular ultrasound looks at all the arteries and the veins in the body except for the heart. Cardiac ultrasound, we focus on the heart and the great vessels surrounding the heart. And then diagnostic medical ultrasound, which looks at, and jump in at any time, looks at everything else, organs and babies and reproductive organs and all that nonsense. So, all right, we are accredited by the Commission of Accreditation of Allied Health Education Programs, that we call it KHAP, and they are known for accrediting post-secondary health science programs across the country. And we have been, cardiac and vascular ultrasound, we've been accredited since 1990, or 1995. We began in 1990, and we just got awarded a 10-year reaccreditation reprieve, I like to think of it, for 10 years. Usually there were 5-year increments, so we were happy with that. And DMS has been around since 2002, and they became accredited in 2006.
And we're on a 5-year accreditation at the present time.
All right, so how does ultrasound work? We basically blast high-frequency sound waves into the body. They bounce off or echo off different structures that come back to the transducer. The transducer knows when the pulse was sent, knows when it comes back, it times that duration, and then looks at the intensity of the signal. That's all processed by a sophisticated computer, and that's how the images are developed. And it happens so quickly, it looks like real time. This is a picture of our ultrasound lab. This was last week in the upper left. These are students that are scanning a patient who's pregnant, and so they're doing some fetus scanning. And that's Janet in there helping them along. These students will be going to clinicals and internship in January, and my cardiac students are also at the point where they're scanning patients over the age of 40, just to kind of help them learn on patients, the patient population that they're going to see most often in the hospital. They scan each other in the beginning. It's easy to scan young people. They really light up well. But older people are a little more of a struggle, so I didn't bring my business cards, but if you're interested in having a scan, let us know, because we're always looking for volunteers.
I don't think I meet the age requirements.
Kept looking at
Oh, I'm so sorry.
She was looking at you.
Yeah. Somebody's going to be working on me from cardiac ultrasound.
The room on the right is a simulator for the DMS program. They have probes that they put in a body cavities, so we don't let the students do that to each other, so we do have mannequins and simulators for that. This is one image of the heart I think everybody can recognize in the upper left. That's a 4-chamber of the heart's cardiac sonographers. They'll look at the shape, look at the squeeze. They'll apply color that you see on the right. It's like colored apple like you see on Kellerland. Weather, it tells us about the direction of blood flow. Are the valves leaky? Are they tight? Is the velocity too high? So there's some of the things that they do. I can show you a couple examples. A patient here on the left is in trouble. They've got too much fluid around the heart. And so the cardiac sonographer would have to perform some hemodynamic measurements to see, is this life-threatening or not? So they need to be able to recognize that, and that actually is a life-threatening case. So they would send up a flare, call in the right people, and maybe even help assist with fluid removal with ultrasound-guided needle centesis. Patient on the right had a heart attack, and it's affected the apex of their ventricle, so that's not squeezing very well. It's a great nidus for thrombus formation, and there's also a piece of that thrombus that's moving around a little bit. That's another emergent situation where they need to alert the proper people and get that patient taken care of. Otherwise, that could launch and end up causing a stroke. This looks bad, but this is probably the one you'd want out of the three. This is a simple benign tumor. This was an incidental finding on a routine scan, and it's a myxoma, and it's a benign tumor. The patient had it removed the next day and is doing really well. A couple examples of vascular ultrasound. I'll speak for Kathy Miller. The patient on the top had an invasive procedure done with a large needle and catheter into the brachial artery, and that didn't seal after the procedure, and it's bleeding out into the tissues. So that was evaluated by a vascular sonographer and actually fixed by a vascular sonographer. They can actually put pressure on that artery and develop a thrombus so the patient doesn't have to go to surgery and have general anesthesia and get a stitch. So that's one thing vascular ultrasounds can do. Bottom right is a common carotid artery. That's an artery that can cause people trouble and develop stroke if they have atherosclerosis. Image on the bottom left is actually transcranial ultrasound, where they look at arteries and small vessels in the brain looking for stroke, the bad headaches. Migraines, thank you. And this is a patient that was on a plane for many hours, dehydrated, developed a blood clot in their femoral vein, and this is very high up. It's a large thrombus. This patient needs bed rest and blood thinners, and this, again, could embolize and move into the lung. So that's an emergent situation, too, that the student would need to evaluate, or sonographer would need to evaluate and alert the proper staff.
The next image is going to go to the DMS side of things. And to start off with, we're just kind of showing you some images from what everybody kind of really thinks of ultrasound is the babies. That's kind of ultrasound's claim to fame and the start of it, but we've just really blossomed and grown. So you can kind of see this a profile. And again, because those images are created so rapidly, it really shows those fetuses moving. And we're assessing not just for the cutesy little pictures that everybody wants to post on Facebook, but for a diagnosis looking for any sort of abnormalities in these unborn children. This is looking at the heart in a fetus, so this is kind of where cardiac and DMS kind of collide a little bit. When we are looking at them as a fetus, we will do routine images in an OB scan. If we see something abnormal in that fetal head, then a fetal echo is ordered. And so we can then evaluate that heart much more specifically. And that is sometimes a specialty from a DMS sonographer. That can also be kind of a crossover and a specialty that a cardiac sonographer could, again, advance their career and kind of work in the fetal heart. So we tend to kind of cross over and work together as well. This is just a case that is one of those really sad ones that none of us as sonographers like to find. This is on a fetus that is very early, and for some reason during the embryology and the development, the head did not completely develop. There's no cranium or skull around that fetal brain, and so the black that you see around it is the amniotic fluid, and it just really kind of starts to kind of disintegrate the brain tissue that is there. These are considered a lethal condition. A lot of these fetuses will die in utero or shortly after birth if they make it that long. Another thing, and I actually just taught this unit to our DMS students this last week. They took a test on it, and this is conjoined twins. And twins can be a fabulous find. They can be kind of heartbreaking here where they didn't totally separate. This is a set of twins where one egg was fertilized and then it split, but because it split so late, there wasn't complete separation of the two fetuses. And so we see here that the fetus has two heads, but the bodies are joined together. And there's all sorts of variations to how conjoined twins are actually connected. So another kind of a sad case, and we'd have to evaluate what really is connected and are there two hearts there to kind of then set forth that plan. Is it possible to separate these twins? And this baby's just kind of saying, hi, thanks for letting us come and share our information with you. The other side of the DMS area is more on the other parts of the body that we look at. And so these are just some areas in the abdomen that we will also assess. Gallstones, pretty common, dime a dozen, a lot of women get them. And so that top left image, those little white things in that black structure are the gallstones. Can cause a lot of abdominal pain. We're great at finding these. The bottom left image is a patient who may have cirrhosis of the liver from various causes, whether it's a medication that has really kind of damaged the liver, or hepatitis can sometimes cause problems as well. And there's a lot of fluid in the abdomen. This patient would be very distended, and sometimes we'll assist in draining that fluid off as well to help ease their discomfort. And then the top right image there with the color, we also look at the vessels. We look at the blood vessels leading to all the organs in the abdomen and to the pelvis, and the veins that then return the blood from those organs. So that color is just showing us the direction of flow in that aorta. Some of the things that we look at that really kind of exemplify what a sonographer is about is really kind of having a really good, strong, ethical, moral foundation. When you work in healthcare, you need to know that those people will do what is right, and they will always have their patient at the forefront and their best interest in mind. So really a strong ethical behavior is important. And we really expect that on campus with our students as well. Cheating and those sorts of things are unethical, and so it's something that we kind of try to assess as well. As a sonographer, we've got to really be analyzing all of those images that we're taking and then kind of go through that critical thinking process that says, all right, is this normal? Is it not? What else do I have to do to really be able to give that physician that's going to be reading my study everything they need to make the proper diagnosis? We got to work well under pressure when we have these emergent cardiac situations, whether we have that clot in the leg that could break off, or these babies that are conjoined or having problems. We've got to know when we need to get those doctors in there, when we need to kind of, as Pam said, light the flare and get some help quickly. Some of our cases, we can lose somebody in our ultrasound room. We don't like that, but unfortunately, that's the nature of healthcare. So some of them are very emergent situations. And then, of course, we don't always have those positive, amazing outcomes. So kind of learning to work with those things as well. Good oral and written Communication is important for our students to really kind of learn, and we assess this as well. We will have them do presentations in the classroom so that they can speak among their peers in the medical terminology, and we kind of like to call it our sonographic language, that we talk amongst ourselves describing our images, and some people maybe don't know what we're talking about, but we do, and our physicians expect us to be able to do that well. Our programs are rigorous, they are tough, and we kind of throw a lot at them in a short period of time. So they've really got to stay up on their studying, and again, our whole goal is to have them so well prepared for you, if you're their patients, me, if I'm the patient's, or anyone else's loved one. Part of the programs also are in our lab. We have the lab acquisition, the scanning skills that have to come along as well. And then to kind of finish off the program, once they've been on the campus, they will have a 7-month internship. We like to put this picture of the U.S. on there, and really the only state, I guess Hawaii is on there, but it doesn't have a star on it. Our clinical sites can be far and wide. As you can see, we're pretty heavily centered here along the I-29 corridor. Unfortunately, the Sioux Falls health community just can't really kind of have too many students in one location, or they don't really get the best clinical experience. So some of our students need to, or will choose to even, go to Boise, Idaho. We've had students in Virginia. One of my DMS students is on her way to Soldotna, Alaska come January. And so this is 7 months. They'll be in the hospitals working alongside a registered sonographer, just like we are. But now, instead of bringing in volunteers, scanning their classmates, they are working on real live patients and fine-tuning all of those skills, seeing all of these crazy pathologies that we've talked about in class. They also, at the end of their clinical internships, will be taking their registry exams. They need to pass these exams. This is what makes us employable. So again, our pass rates, we like to throw out there. We are at 100%. We expect that every year. And I guess that's really kind of one of the things that and I'm probably speaking for everyone here, really believe that the rigor and how much, I'm trying to think of the word, the expectations of our students, not only in the classroom but also in scanning, is this registry exam pass rate. We know we've got it to the level because this is what we want to see. These are some of the exams that the different students will be taking. So if our DMS students are on there, they will be studying and prepared to take their abdomen registry and then also their obstetric and gynecology exam. They, cardiac students are prepared to take their adult echo board, and then our vascular students take their vascular technology. Along with those specialty exams, the students also have to pass an ultrasound physics exam through the National Registry as well. You have to pass the physics board and the specialty to be registered. So again, we love our pass rates, so we kind of feel like we got a good thing going. There are other career opportunities. When you look at this list, you can see that there's some other ones that we don't have arrows drawn to. And so there are times that a cardiac student or employee may be in a lab that also does vascular. So through some cross-training, they may be ready to sit and take their vascular registry. So there is some of that cross-training. In DMS, I'm one of those that I did some work in breast imaging, and I wanted to learn more, and I wanted to become credentialed. So I studied, and I did a lot of it on my own, and in working in the industry in breast, and I have my breast registry. So we can continue to kind of really increase our knowledge base throughout the years as well.
And you have to be a graduate from an accredited program to take this route. So.
Correct. Other opportunities that our students have are our articulation agreements. We have had one for now a number of years with USD so that our students can, we call it our 2+2, And they can do it as a forward or a reverse articulation and can then continue on, get their bachelor's degree in health science. The newest one that came out is the Bachelor of Science Technical Leadership that came out, that was just in kind of the news not so long ago, this summer with the University Center. And so then they can kind of have different arenas to, again, complete that bachelor's degree. So it's not required to work in our industry to have a bachelor's, but we really kind of encourage students that it's a really good idea. They 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now may want to get into management, and these kind of open some of those doors for them.
Probably one of the biggest problems we have is recognition of our profession. So we try to capitalize on any recruitment activities that we can, and we've developed a great relationship with the CTE Academy, and we've been there for open houses and also in the health careers class. And you can see President Griggs was thinking about a career change there for a few minutes. Yeah, right. And then there's a picture of us at the Sanford Research Center Science Discovery Days. We've learned that students would like to talk to our students, so we do really drag some of our students along, and it's fun for them too to talk about the profession, so that's worked out well.
They really take pride in, and they kind of buy into their education and what
Right.
we're going. It's fun to see them.
And we're also lucky, those systems that you see there are laptop systems, so we can fold them up and put them in a suitcase so we can get to these areas and give students a hand, let them try it out, let them try to scan someone, and that's kind of fun.
We also go to other fairs as well, I guess.
Scrubs camps, high schools,
We
Chamberlain.
went out to
yeah.
Chamberlain,
We're going to go to Freeman,
so
Yankton.
trying to get our name and face out into the region even more.
Average stenographer's salary is $65,790 a year from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And if you want to go on to the next one, that salary can be augmented. Healthcare is 24/7, so there's call, there's weekends, there's evenings, and that can really augment a stenographer's salary. And stenographers work hospitals, clinics, mobile services, and temp services are really back at it now too because there's such a demand. There's a lot of temp employees as well. And our employment rate has been really good, 100%. And the last couple of years, we've always kind of warned students, like, don't count on Sioux Falls because we kind of saturate the market. But I've got to say the last 3 years, my clinical students here in Sioux Falls all stayed on and were hired. All of my clinical students last year were hired at their clinical site. So there's a big demand.
And Sanford and Fargo just opened their brand new facility, and they hired 5 of our 2017 grads.
Yeah.
So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, wrong
You're
one.
going backwards.
Yeah, I'm going backwards.
Right, any questions? Yes.
So 7 months in clinical, 98 to 99 credits, depending
Yes.
on how long does that typically last?
It can be done in 2 years. Most students that don't transfer in credits will stretch it out to 3 years. Yep. And we kind of recommend that, get all those generals out of the way before you hit the heavy courses, towards the end.
There are some prerequisite courses that are required before they actually start in our program.
Yeah.
For instance, it's hard for us to teach cross-sectional anatomy if they've never had college anatomy. So they need to have some of those completed before they really kind of get in with us.
And they can complete those at STI as well.
Correct.
Yep.
Some of the students, now with dual credits and those sorts of things are, as
They're coming in with a lot.
Yeah, they're coming in with a lot of credits.
Nice.
We've had a couple of graduates that, it doesn't happen very often, but a couple of graduates 2 years ago now came right out of high school. And they had done dual credits during high school, and so when they graduated in May, they started with us in August, and away they went. So it doesn't happen all the time, but it's possible. if
Probably
they-
more and more now.
Yeah, and some students just know what they want at an early age, and they're just really driven to do it.
We were just talking about that in our previous board meeting, so, yep.
How many students are in a graduating class on average?
On average, it's been lower the last couple of years. We've got numbers coming up here because because admissions is higher, but I had 8 students last year graduate,
I think
and maybe 12 the year before.
Yeah, we've had, last year we had 13, we've had 15, we've had, so I mean, we usually DMS starts with 20.
Okay.
And so it kind of just depends on whether life happened or, because sometimes we lose students just because all of a sudden something catastrophic happened and we've got to let life kind of work its way through and that sort of thing. But somewhere in that 12 to 15, I guess I would probably say.
Okay. And do you, just looking at pictures, do you find that you have mostly women in your program, or is it a
Except
good
when
mix?
Mr. Griggs was up there looking at the screen.
It's funny. In cardiac, I've had probably more males, and then I would say with vascular, and then fewer with DMS, probably
Probably because of the gynecology studies.
Sure.
And the breast imaging is probably what steers our male students away. But we have had male graduates. But ultrasound historically has been a female kind of dominant profession, but we are seeing some things. We've got a lot of students that maybe graduated with like an exercise physiology degree, but they don't really have a job.
Right.
And so they come to us and exercise physiology kind of goes with the heart. So they tend to go heart and vascular, and that kind of tends to be kind of our male students.
Sure. Thank you.
Any other questions?
All right.
Very
well,
interesting. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I would just like both of you, Pam and Janet, I mean, the program sounds great, and just you must be so proud of your pass rates and just the success of the program and getting those kids graduated. And I guess I shouldn't call them kids.
We do too. Even if they're 40, we call them kids.
But yeah, just very proud of the program. Sounds like a great success for
We are,
STI. So thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for inviting us.
All right, can I get a motion and approval to the academic program overview report?
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay. Next report.
President Parker, members of the board, Jim Jacobson again. Before I start our next report, I want to just a comment. At Southeast Tech, we are really blessed with quality faculty and staff. And I just have to acknowledge the 4 ladies from these programs. My office is in the health building, and every organization has individuals that go above and beyond, that when you need to walk down the hall and find someone to help with something, you know who you can go to. I just have to let the board know that the 4 individuals who work in these 3 programs are those people. Good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure to bring a new campus initiative to the board this afternoon, and that is our Campus Watch program. How new is the program? It started Monday. So a little bit of history to help you understand how we got to this point. So when Tracy Noldner surveys our campus, he has a rotation for different types of surveys that we do. President Griggs has done a number of listening sessions since he came to campus. And one of the things that we've heard a little bit over the years is that there, particularly with female staff and faculty, there were times when they felt like, let's use the health building where our labs are. We have open labs that get out at 9:30 at night, and they may be the only individual down there. And they felt like at times it was a little bit dark, a little bit lonely. It's the middle of winter, January. And there had been suggestions, would there be a way that we could offer some additional security support for our campus? And so our campus listened. We took that information and we developed the Campus Watch program. We had a number of goals for the program. The first is that, just as I shared, we wanted to provide an additional on-campus safety presence for our students and our staff. We wanted to provide increased visibility during those evening classes and events, and on Saturday mornings for the testing center and the Hovland Learning Center. We also wanted to initiate a program that could provide what we call an escort service for students, employees, or faculty who may request an escort to go back to their apartment on campus, to move between buildings, or maybe just to their car at night. Pretty common practice across most major colleges and universities. And then finally, this program is providing an opportunity for our law enforcement students to gain some practical hands-on experience. We have hired 4 law enforcement students to start the program. They're Abby Roden, Hannah Chin, Colby Banyan, and Jason Ostra. And I can tell you that when Captain Talbot and I promoted this program, we had strong interest. We had to do interviews, and unfortunately we didn't have enough openings, but I think that speaks well that our law enforcement students were interested in serving our campus. Based on input from Captain Talbot, who is the program director for our law enforcement program, he felt strongly that our Campus Watch employees should work in pairs. They are still students. So we have 1 team per shift. We're developing Campus Watch uniforms. We started the program so quickly. They're wearing their law enforcement uniforms at this time, but we're getting them the rest of the uniform. Campus Watch employees they carry cell phones and flashlights. They don't have mace, they don't have batons, they don't have any other weapons. And the other thing that we've done is we've posted contact information near all the exits in all of our buildings so that anyone at any time can know how to get a hold of either of those cell phones that are carried by those employees. Our Campus Watch services will be available Monday through Thursday evening from 6 p.m. to 10, and on Saturdays from 9 to 2. How did we develop that schedule? Dr. Peters is our master scheduler for campus and works for us in academics. We run an evening report that we disseminate to custodians and other security staff. So we analyze that report. Those were the times that we knew we needed some extra support. And as part of the training that Captain Talbot and I did with these employees, they will be getting regular reports of campus activities, both academic, but other groups that may be on campus, so that they know areas that we need to have them focus on. Primary duties, they're going to patrol the halls, buildings, and parking lots. As we said, they can be an escort service for students and staff who may need that. And we are, just as other law enforcement employees would do, we have created an online electronic log system where they will log their activities for the night. Our hope as a campus is that most of those logs are very brief, not a lot to report. That will be a good thing. I'd like to share a quote from Captain Talbot. The preeminent role of this work is public visibility. And I'd like to expand just a little bit on that. We really want these folks to take those evening class reports, the Astra report, which shows what groups are on campus, and kind of, as Captain Talbot would say, learn their beat. That they know that on a Tuesday night we have a concentration of health courses getting out in the health building at 9:30. Let's be down there about 9:15, be visible so people don't need to call you. Make a loop around that building, make sure it's secure, but be available as those folks come out. Let's talk about what these folks don't do. They do not detain people. They do not arrest people. They're a Campus Watch. If they feel that they come across the situation that is beyond their capability, they are to call 911. We do have security officer, Minnehaha County Deputy Sheriff Rick Johnson is on duty in the housing, our apartments, in the evening. And so he's not far away. But they are not in the business of detaining or arresting anyone. However, just as any Good Samaritan with the Good Samaritan laws, if they were to come across someone who had went down, slipped on the ice, had a heart attack, they can give care just as any of us would. I apologize. Thank you to our marketing team, specifically Caroline Rexwinkle, who designed our flyer that we have posted at every exit on campus so that anyone entering the building or leaving knows how to get a hold of our Campus Watch employees and that they know we have that service available. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions? No questions, but I think that's awesome that you're offering this. I was just thinking back when I was in college, we just had student volunteers, and I would do the same thing, volunteer with another student, and we had kind of a room we hung out in and waited for the phone to ring, and simple as walking a student, like you said, from one building to another, and people might have, you know, a reluctancy to walk in the dark for a variety of reasons, and so it's nice to know that you can have somebody that will just show up and not ask you why or want to know anything else besides the fact that I just want to get from point A to point B and feel comfortable and safe doing so. So I think it's a great addition to the campus, and as it grows, as it has, it's good to have extra people and extra visibility to have those students who are maybe newer to Sioux Falls or newer to the campus for sure feel comfortable about their surroundings. So great report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe their visibility will deter anybody that's contemplating something that we're not. I mean, it's just good to have them around and have them visible, and I just think it makes everybody feel more secure, especially in light of this week.
And that was part of our training, and that is skills that they have already learned as we hired seniors for this program. With freshmen as part of their coursework, Captain Talbot teaches a course on how you interact with the public. You know, it'd be one thing for me to see you on campus and say, what are you doing here? But what we've taught them, and Captain Talbot has taught them, is you approach someone you don't know. Hi, who are you? Oh, hi, I'm Jim. I'm Campus Watch employee. What can I help you with this evening? That alone can be a deterrent.
Amen.
So.
Yep, and I think it's great that we're using our own students for this because it's a great opportunity for them to learn in a real environment. So
Build some good habits of awareness and surveillance. And
yep. Yeah, great report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So our administrative recommendation is to acknowledge the report.
Okay. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, thank you very much.
President Griggs asked me to introduce our next speaker. It's my pleasure to introduce Shelley Unruh. She is our foundation director, and she has your next report. Thank you.
Thanks.
President Parker and members of the school board, thank you for the opportunity to come to you today and present the results of the 2016-2017 foundation campaign. With the Southeast Tech Foundation, we strive every year, or I say we as in me and my foundation board, strive every year to increase the number of scholarships and money coming into the foundation in support of the activities and students on Southeast Tech's campus. There are a couple areas in which the Southeast Tech Foundation focuses on, and one of those areas is scholarships. So you can see that year over year, we have increased our scholarship pool by about $172. So in order to increase the number of dollars in scholarships that we provide each year, it's about diligently working with the board and our industry partners to get them to invest in the education and future of our students. So it's very proud to say that we were able to increase the number of scholarships that we're able to offer from last year to this year. One of the other things that we work in is securing endowments, and this is creating legacy endowments to support our students for future generations going forward. These are a little bit harder to come by in that you have to work with a company that's willing to set aside at least $25,000 to create that endowment. Sometimes it comes from a family or memorial. In this situation, we did have one that came from an engineering association that set aside funds for our land survey science students to take their accreditation testing when they finish the program. So we were down in the fact that the year prior we had 2 new endowments, and this year we only had 1. However, I feel that we made up for the lack of or the ability to get another endowment with our unrestricted and other funding. So when I say unrestricted, that's somewhat of a deceiving word, because we refer to unrestricted as anything that is not scholarship or endowment. But I would say close to 99% of the money that comes into the foundation with an intended purpose. So I would say a better explanation of the money that comes in is temporarily restricted or other. So some of the highlights that I can point to that came in this year was continued support from NECA, which is the National Electrical Contractors Association, and IBEW, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, in support of our electrical program. They have been instrumental in making sure that our new electrician program has the supplies and tools that it needs for effective communication and education in the classroom, as well as making sure that the students that start into that program and continue with that program are fully scholarshiped. Marmon Energy was a pioneering gift for the foundation this year, in that they have came in as a program supporter. So it's a sponsorship type of support that they're doing. So they've committed to $25,000 to our welding program. That's going to come in way of about $5,333 a year. Contributed directly to the welding program, in addition to the $3,000 that they contribute to our scholarship program. This is an investment that Marmon has never made before, so this is new ground for them, and we're happy that they chose Southeast Tech to pilot this gift process for them. The other thing that we worked with is we applied for a grant with the Community Foundation to pay for a consultant for the Southeast Tech Foundation to start the process of diving into a capital campaign. So we were looking at doing a feasibility study to test the waters and test the community of, if we did do a resource campaign, what is the vitality of that campaign and what would a goal be? And so we were fortunate enough to receive a grant to help us offset the cost of that consultant that we hired. Another wonderful program that is operated now out of the Southeast Tech Foundation is the Build Dakota program, the Build Dakota Scholarship Program. And we partnered with Forward Sioux Falls to give opportunities for industry to buy down their portion. So when I get to the Build Dakota portion, I will explain that a little bit further. But what Forward Sioux Falls did was they invested into local companies with $26,000. So for local companies that want to invest in Build Dakota, Forward Sioux Falls, this grant gave them $2,500, making it easier to invest in a Build Dakota scholarship student and become an industry partner. So that was a large gift that we had not received before, and an innovative gift setting the precedence for our sister schools. The other grant that we received is a CDL grant, and this is to help offset the cost of community members wanting to get CDL training. So it gives people $2,000 to help offset the cost of the $4,000 tuition cost for CDL training. So it was a big year for us in getting additional funding other than scholarships and endowments. In addition to that, the Southeast Tech Foundation runs a couple of programs under the Sponsor a Scholar umbrella. The first program that we run is Sponsor a Scholar Option A. Just to give you a quick overview of what Sponsor a Scholar Option A is, we wanted to create a method for students that don't get the Build Dakota Scholarship to have an ability to get funding and resources from a company, so that they too can get the financial assistance that they need to either continue on in school or start school. So that's what Sponsor a Scholar is. And what we do is we take current students that are in our programs, we invite industry in to meet them. The best way to describe it is like an NFL draft. So the companies come in, they meet their students, they have about a 15-minute interview with each one of them, and then they each select their top 3 candidates that they want to take onto a second interview. That's a dual selection process, so at the same time the employers are evaluating the students are evaluating the employers. Then we take the match information from the student, match that with the employer, and students go out on a second interview, and that resulted in 7 students getting $4,000 directly to their education. So it's a great benefit for our students. For that money, the students commit to working for that company for a year. Under the Build Dakota Option B Sponsor a Scholar, so it's Build Dakota 50-50 match. So when Build Dakota started, one of the things, the premises that they had always wanted to come along with this program was that industry would step up and help spread that money out. Because if we don't get industry participation in Build Dakota, the opportunity to grow our workforce will come and go very quickly. And we will have less students be able to enter into the program because we're using all of those funds. So it was always the intent to have industry partnerships as part of that story. This year, they made it a performance requirement for each one of the tech schools. So in the previous 2 years, they would allocate $1 million to each tech school to provide or grant those full ride scholarships. This year, they held $105,000 back from that $1 million award, and each tech school had to raise $105,000 in matching funds in order to receive that additional incentive. I'm happy to say that Southeast Tech met that and exceeded that $105,000 goal with 6 students matched directly with companies. And then we have a strong partnership with Sanford for our LPN students. So it was a combination of those two that help us meet and exceed that goal. So the total impact of our Sponsor a Scholar program this year was a little over $200,000. So a great impact for our students. In addition to meeting and exceeding the goals of the foundation and fundraising, there's also a couple of procedural things that the Southeast Tech Foundation did this past year. One of the things that is, I think, a proud note for the foundation is that prior to last year, our scholarship review and award process was manual. So we would sift through 200 plus paper applications and try and remember all of the details and criteria of 200 donor individual scholarships and match those with students. So it was a long process with great support of committee and volunteers from employees at Southeast Tech to make that happen. But as we grow and as the foundation has taken on more responsibilities, it was a need to become more efficient in our review and award process. So over the summer, we implemented a fluid review scholarship software, management software. So what the software does for us is it actually manages the application for the scholarship, evaluates that student's eligibility for scholarships, and then matches them with the appropriate scholarship. So we're being better stewards to our donors through this matching process, and we're ensuring that students are getting with the right scholarship that they deserve, and we're able to evaluate the criteria in a more efficient manner. This has led to more scholarships and more students receiving scholarships. We did have a little bit of a hiccup in our first year of implementation in the way that we had set it up. We were reviewing by scholarship rather than by individual. So one individual's scholarship application could have been read up to 10 times. So it made the process still quite lengthy and complicated. However, we've identified those issues, resolved them, and our scholarship application opened October 1st and is live for students now. So it is a work in progress, but for a small foundation, it was a pretty big project that we successfully implemented. The other is that we started the process for a capital campaign. So we know that with the landscape and all of the things that have changed in technical education, that we may have an opportunity to capitalize on some of those good forward progress that we're experiencing in technical education and really be able to bring forward some initiatives that have started through some of the other events that we've had on campus, like our sector breakfast events. So we started with a consultant, and we completed our feasibility phase of that. It's now in review with our foundation board, and will next go to the STI Council. So you'll be seeing results from that soon, but just wanted you to be aware that that was another process that we implemented this last year. Another accomplishment from the foundation is that we took over the Build Dakota Scholarship program in its entirety. For the past 2 years, it was actually split between the foundation and admissions. With the vacancy in the admissions director position, the entire Build Dakota Scholarship program is now within the foundation. So it is a large program to manage. However, I think it will be great continuity, and it has been received very well by the Build Dakota board as far as having that under one location. It may go back to, and probably will go back to, a combination effort between the foundation and admissions. But in the meantime, we're getting some good processes and plans laid forward so that we continue to operate the program very seamlessly and efficiently. And the other great thing that came out of the sector, or out of the foundation this year, was our sector breakfast events. We worked very hard with our foundation board members to launch those events and then make sure that the right people are in the room to engage in those conversations with us. So it was the foundation board that served on many of those panels, that made personal phone calls to their peers, asking their leaders to come and engage with Southeast Tech and continue those conversations on. So those are some of the great successes of what the foundation has accomplished over this last year. Jumping back to Build Dakota for just a second, we are in the ramp-up period for Build Dakota right now. The Build Dakota Scholarship application opens up January 1st. So every time during this year and into the beginning of the new year, we go on what is called the Build Dakota Roadshow. And it's where myself and the other counterparts at the other technical institutes will come together either at an economic development event or a school sponsored event where we will speak with students, parents, and industry professionals about what Build Dakota is and the opportunities that exist within that program for them. It's a way for us to promote Southeast Tech, to hopefully gain some industry partnerships and hopefully get a couple of students to realize the importance of technical education, the path that our economy is going towards, and having them choose technical education. So it's a good time to promote that scholarship program. Any questions?
I'm new, so I have a couple. So foundation, how, is it just you in the office, or? Yeah, okay,
Yep.
so thank you for all your work.
Looking at 'em.
And the consultant, so you're now in the feasibility and you're doing the review and so forth. What, do you have like a timeline to when you're going to probably implement capital campaign, or is that not public, or? Yeah.
We haven't decided that yet. We're still trying to, we just got done doing the feasibility study, so we just got the results of what that feasibility study is, and now we're evaluating that, and we actually split it into a couple of phases. So we split it into the assessment phase, and then, which is phase 1, and then the actual fundraising campaign phase, which is phase 2. The reason we split it into 2 is for cost basis, to make sure that to fund the feasibility study, to even find out if we're viable, and that if people are willing to invest. So that's why we split it out into 2 parts. And once we evaluate that and decide what company we feel would give us the best results, if that's the direction that we're going to go, then we'll bring it to the board. So I expect that I'll be on your agenda again in December.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No. A lot of work, a lot of good work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley, very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the foundation update report?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right. Now, on to the second reading of Southeast Tech policy. Andrew, you going to take that?
Sure. We did first reading a month ago. It's been out on school district website and on the STI website. Have we had no comments of any kind on the change? The need for the change, as I explained at the last board meeting, well, explained poorly, I should say, is the change on the part of the legislature doing away with collective bargaining at the technical schools. We being Southeast Tech administration, has worked very hard to start work on an employee handbook, and the change in this policy is the school board's way of saying, go ahead and get that done. We don't need to take action on every little bit of change that's going to happen. So Have you got more and better explanation on that,
No.
President Griggs? Are you sure? All right, it's been out there for a month, and I know how much work you all have put in on this, the meetings that have been held campus-wide. There's just been a tremendous amount of work to get this to where it is today, and this policy, our second reading of GB, STI, working agreement as policy regulations of bargaining units, is just allowing you to continue to do the good work. So I move for approval of second reading.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you.
President Parker, if I could, I just wanted to say very quickly and echo Jim's comments earlier and thank Pam and Janet for their excellent report. I think the professionalism in which they conduct themselves at the very beginning, at the outset of the program, continues through the program, and you've seen the results at the end of the program with the accreditation and the pass rates. You don't see that nationally. When I looked at some averages, national averages are more like 73%, 84% in similar programs. So I think that just speaks volumes to the commitment of the faculty and the quality of the students and the work ethic and professionalism that they instill. So thank you all again for your good work there. I did want to point out one item. It's an informational item, and I think it's worth bringing to the attention of the board if you're not aware of it. But since the last board meeting, we had an event, and it was student-led and student-driven, so I'm actually kind of proud of that. On Friday, September 8th, our Student Senate worked with some local radio stations. I think we had 6 local radio stations and 1 television station. And our students were out on the corner of 13th and Phillips at 5 a.m. on Friday morning, which with the number of students that were there is impressive to me. We had one of the radio announcers that started at 6 o'clock said, "I can't imagine being a college student and being up at 5 a.m. unless you're not coming home yet from the previous evening." But so they were very impressed with the turnout and the commitment. And we had a few students. I think we had over 40, nearly 50 students that were there throughout the day. It was 6 until 7 at night. I wanted to report out, though, because I don't think you've heard this. I did write a letter to the editor, and I don't know that it'll ever get published, but we had 17,000 pounds of unperishable food items that were contributed. The idea, though, originated from our students. We have a Southeast Tech Cares program where internally we try to take care of the students once they're on campus. But we thought if we could take that program and bring it out to the community, that Southeast Tech cares about what's happening in and around Sioux Falls and what we can do. So when I brought the discussion forward to the Senate and then also student ambassadors, there were a couple of ambassadors that really jumped on this. Tracy Denali is one of our lead student ambassadors. She did a wonderful job. She was one of those students that I think that was there early and then stayed late. And then Bubba Writing as our Student Government Association president also. He drove the semi down there. So, great individual effort on the part of those students, but all of our students to be there throughout the day. And so 17,000 pounds that will be delivered by Feeding South Dakota to the Houston Food Bank, and then also I think it was $7,000 in donations that were received from the American Red Cross as well. So love to see that. Hope we can continue to do more of that outreach type of activity on behalf of Southeast Tech with the community. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Need like a good news report, I think.
Yeah, we should have that every month.
Yeah, we might have to talk about that next time. All right. Anything else? All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So move.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.